What I'm looking at right now in the model data is not a single storm event. It is a sustained and increasingly active winter pattern that is going to deliver multiple rounds of significant winter weather to a very large portion of the United States over the next 7 to 10 days. I want to be precise about what that means because there is a difference between one major storm and what I'm describing here. What the data is showing is a storm train, a sequence of discrete winter systems moving through a jet stream configuration that is actively funneling cold air from Canada deep into the central and eastern United States and then replenishing that cold air each time it begins to moderate. The result is a pattern where the recovery window between events is short, where snow and ice have no meaningful opportunity to clear before the next system arrives, and where cumulative impacts have the potential to exceed what any single storm would produce on its own. Over the next 7 days, I'm tracking at least 3 separate winter systems capable of producing significant snow accumulations across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, and the East Coast. I want to walk you through each one, explain the timing, and be honest with you about where confidence is high and where uncertainty remains. The context here matters enormously. We are coming directly off one of the most powerful nor'easters to affect southern New England in the past decade. Rhode Island and Massachusetts saw snow accumulations approaching 38 inches in the hardest hit areas. That is close to 1 meter of snowfall from a single event. New York City, Long Island, and New Jersey were buried under 2 feet or more. Power outages affected hundreds of thousands of customers. The infrastructure damage from that storm is still being assessed and repaired right now, and I want to be clear that the systems I am about to describe are arriving into that environment. Roads are not clear. Power grids are not fully restored. Emergency response resources are stretched. That background context changes the impact calculus significantly, because even a moderate storm arriving on top of this situation produces consequences that would normally be associated with a much larger event. The first system in this sequence is already developing, and I have reasonably high confidence in its track and timing at this point. A shortwave disturbance currently moving through the northern Rockies will drop into the plains by Tuesday and track across the Midwest Tuesday night into Wednesday. The primary snow band with this system will set up across a corridor from eastern Kansas and Missouri through central Illinois, Indiana, and into Ohio. I'm expecting 4 to 8 inches of snow across that corridor, with locally higher amounts possible near Indianapolis and Columbus if the system's track holds close to current model guidance. Further northeast, a secondary band of snow will develop across western Pennsylvania and upstate New York, where lake-enhanced moisture adds to the snowfall totals. I'm looking at 5 to 9 inches in that region, and portions of the Tug Hill Plateau and the Adirondacks could push higher. Confidence is still increasing on the exact placement of the heaviest totals, and I would not be surprised if some areas on the northern edge of this system overperform. For New England, this first system brings light to moderate snow to southern Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, generally 2 to 5 inches, arriving Wednesday morning and clearing by Wednesday evening. It is not a blockbuster for New England, but it is additional accumulation on top of what is already on the ground, and that matters. The second system in this sequence is the one I am watching most closely right now, because the model signal has been building steadily over the past 72 hours, and the trend has been toward a more significant solution. This system develops out of the southern plains by Thursday and undergoes rapid intensification as it moves into the Ohio Valley Thursday night. The jet stream configuration at that point will be extremely favorable for storm development. We will have a deep trough digging into the central U.S., a sharp contrast between the Arctic air entrenched in the north and unseasonably mild air trying to surge from the Gulf, and an upper-level wind pattern that supports strong vertical motion and heavy precipitation rates. I want to be careful about exact totals here because this system is still 72 to 96 hours out, but the general setup supports widespread snowfall of 8 to 14 inches across the Ohio Valley, including Louisville, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland, with the heaviest totals potentially along a corridor from southern Indiana through central Ohio and into western Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh is a city I'm watching carefully. It sits right in a zone where this system could produce very heavy snow if the track holds, and 10 to 16 inches is not out of the question there. Further east, the Philadelphia and New York City corridor will see snow develop Thursday night, with accumulations currently in the range of 4 to 8 inches, though I want to revisit that as we get closer because because there is still room for higher totals on the northern side of the track. For Boston and southern New England, this system arrives Friday morning. Confidence is still building on how much moisture this system can draw northward before the cold air wins out. But my current expectation is 6 to 12 inches for the Boston metro, with locally higher amounts in Worcester County and the higher elevations of central Massachusetts. Behind this second system, temperatures will drop sharply. This is the temperature roller coaster aspect of this pattern that I think deserves specific attention, because the swings are going to be dramatic and they are going to happen quickly. In the Ohio Valley, I'm expecting temperatures to fall from the upper 20s and low 30s during the storm to near zero or below zero within 12 to 18 hours of the system's passage. That rate of temperature fall, combined with wet snow on the ground, creates flash freeze conditions on roads and bridges that catch people off guard even after the precipitation has ended. In the southeast, Tennessee, Kentucky, the Carolinas, northern Georgia, a similar setup will develop by Friday night. Any liquid water remaining on road surfaces from rain on the storm's warm side will freeze rapidly as the Arctic air surges south. Wind chills across the Ohio Valley by Saturday morning will fall to minus 15 to minus 30 degrees. Across the mid-Atlantic, wind chills will be in the minus 10 to minus 25 degree range Saturday morning. These are dangerous numbers, and they are arriving at a moment when significant portions of the affected region will still be dealing with active storm cleanup. The third system is the one with the most uncertainty, and I want to be honest with you about the limits of my confidence at this range. What the models have been showing consistently for the past several days is a significant low-pressure development along the Ohio Valley to northeast corridor by Sunday into Monday of next week. The pattern evolution supports this. The jet stream is configured in a way that keeps producing storm systems along this track, and the cold air in place will be more than sufficient to support snow well into the coastal areas. The question is not whether a storm develops. The question is exactly how much moisture this system can tap, how far north the heaviest precipitation extends, and whether the track stays inland enough to keep the major northeast cities in the snow zone rather than transitioning to sleet or freezing rain. Right now, the GFS and the European model are both showing a meaningful storm for the Sunday to Monday window, with the European slightly more aggressive on the southern extent of the snow. If that solution verifies, the Ohio Valley picks up another 6 to 10 inches, and the Northeast, including Boston, Providence, Hartford, and Albany, sees another 10 to 18 inches of snow. That would bring 7-day snowfall totals in parts of southern New England to between 25 and 40 inches across 3 separate events. I am not locking in those numbers yet, but the signal is real, and it is consistent, and I want you to be aware of it now rather than 48 hours before it arrives. There is one more element to this pattern that I need to address, because it speaks to what comes after this active winter stretch ends, or more precisely, what begins to develop alongside it. As we move into the first week of March, the pattern begins a transition. The Arctic air mass that has been dominating the central and eastern United States starts to lose its grip as a more amplified ridge builds over the western US and pushes warmer air northward. In most years, that kind of pattern transition signals the beginning of the severe weather season across the southern plains and the Mississippi Valley. The contrast between the lingering cold air to the north and the increasingly warm and moist air pushing in from the Gulf of Mexico is exactly the setup that produces tornado outbreaks and widespread severe thunderstorm events. I'm not issuing a severe weather forecast today. We are still in the heart of the winter storm sequence, and that is the immediate priority. But I want to flag it because the same pattern that is driving this winter storm train is also setting the stage for an early and potentially active severe weather season. If you are in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, or Tennessee, late February and early March deserves your attention not just for winter weather, but for the transition that follows. The practical summary of where things stand right now is this. The Midwest and Ohio Valley will see 3 rounds of significant snowfall over the next 7 days, with cumulative totals in many locations likely to exceed 18 to 24 inches. The Northeast is looking at 2 to 3 additional storm events on top of an already historic snowpack, with Boston and southern New England having a realistic path to another 20 to 30 inches before this active stretch concludes. The East Coast from Washington, D.C. through Philadelphia and New York City faces multiple rounds of snow and ice, with the precipitation type question remaining complex for each event given the temperature profile in place. The southeast faces flash freeze conditions and dangerous wind chills on the backside of multiple systems. And the severe weather transition is building on the southern horizon for early March. I will continue updating the forecast as each system comes into better focus. The next 24 hours will bring significantly improved confidence on the second system, and I will have updated totals for the Ohio Valley and Northeast as soon as that clarity develops. Stay with me on this. The pattern is active, it is complex, and it is not finished.